Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. And today I have with me John Peterson,
Hello.
B,
Hi, guys.
Jim, Atheist Edge,
Hello.
Sam,
Hello there.
and Kitty.
Hey.
And I wanted to do just kind of a fun time, just kind of a hangout and bring your own geek topic. I kind of got the idea because I had one stream that we were on one topic and we kind of faded off into Dungeons and Dragons, and we had a hard time getting back and said, one of these days we're going to have to do something where Dungeons and Dragons is okay. And so this is the one. Today is bring your own favorite geek topic, and the chat can suggest topics as well. And I think I'm just going to start. Let everyone. Let's see. What should we do? I guess tell everyone just a little bit about who you are and what your favorite geek topic is, and we'll go around. We'll start with Kitty.
Oh, you're starting with me. I see. Okay. Honestly, I will probably be chiming in on a lot of the topics tonight because I have a wide variety of interests. But if you can tell, maybe with the Harley Quinn makeup, what I might be talking about tonight. Basically, yeah, like I like comic books or like the stories from comic books, different universes that have been created in that medium, and that's what I'll be talking about. Other than that,
Sam.
I am a bit of a geek and a nerd about about tons of things, but I went right. Fuck it, I'll have to pick one. I've been doing a fair bit recently. D&D, because I play D&D twice every other week, and then at least once a week.
Jim.
Let's see. I'm Jim Hall. I'm one half of Atheist Edge. My co-host is Courtney Stewart. We've been doing it for 4 years next month. Let's see. We're right in the middle of a big project called 666 Things Your Religious Leaders Never Taught You, which, of course, Godless Granny's been a huge part of, just contributing some really awesome content. And my geeks things, pen and paper, Dungeons and Dragons, definitely. The Matrix. I'm a big geek with Matrix, chess, and there's these old school toys from the 70s and 80s called Micronauts that I collect and I love. That's it.
I remember Micronauts. Those were great.
B, how about you?
I warned you, Granny. I didn't bring a topic. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. So, but I know a lot of little nerdy things, so I thought I would just chime in tonight. And I couldn't resist the chance to come and say hi to everybody and be on one of your streams. So I jumped on.
I love you, B.
Love you too, Kitty.
I'm kind of the same way, B. I did not bring a specific topic for the night, but part of the reason that I did that is because there's a lot of people here, and I figured there's going to be so many topics floating around that I can just chime in on them, and I don't need to necessarily have one of our own. And we lost John again, so we'll just go ahead and get into discussion. Let's see, where should we go first? Who wants to go first? Actually, let's let Jim go first, because Jim said he might have to leave early.
You know what? I not as early as I thought. And
Oh.
we were talking before showtime. We were already starting to touch on Star Trek, and I already had a couple things to say about. I'm not a Trekkie by any stretch of the imagination, but you guys were talking about some cool stuff before the show started, and I was thinking, which is better, Next Generation or the original? But the original, if nothing else, it did shatter a lot of what's the word? It broke a lot of barriers, right? Like the first interracial kiss. I'm sure you guys, you're the geeks with it, but all the different barriers it broke socially, yeah?
Absolutely.
It was a way
it did.
It was a way of giving social commentary on the time, but by setting it in a futuristic setting, they were able to skirt, basically the censors. Because back when that aired, I'm pretty sure that we were still solidly under like the Hays Code and like So there were a lot of limitations on what you could show, what you could and couldn't show on network television.
Yep.
Yeah. See, the one of the best things for me, because like I've played like a tabletop role playing game in Star Trek setting and stuff, so I've read up a bit on it. But like the amount of conservatives I've known who told me they would love to live in the Star Trek universe, and it's like you do realize it's socialism heading on towards communism, right?
Irony.
Oh, somebody brought my topic up while I was gone, huh?
There was another thing besides. Oh, yeah, what Kitty was talking about. You couldn't show a man and a woman in bed together. I think that might have been the one that broke the mold on that too. And there was another one. Oh, there was one planet they came to. Half the population had white this side of their face and black this side of their face. The other half had it,
and they
flipped,
still
hated each
one
other.
another.
And it was this. Yeah, it was this. It was a deep commentary on just how we judge each other over just totally abstract, arbitrary things, and it was a totally erased issue.
I think the one that broke the mold on the couple in bed was the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right, John. I think that was it. It was Dick Van Dyke.
And then I guess I must have brought the most popular topic for tonight because I disappeared and it already got going without me.
Well, Jim had mentioned that we had started talking about before we came on, and he said it's a good topic because they did break a lot of molds. And I was about to say that I was always impressed with the technology that they came up with, and we didn't even have it. And then later on, now we have cell phones, and now we have doors that open automatically, and now we have. So I was really impressed by that.
Well, and it's funny you mentioned that because that was part of what I wanted to talk about. Is there's a lot of things from that show that came to pass. And when I was watching, I'm into season 2 now. And there was one episode, I wrote it down. Mirror, Mirror, where they go to the alternate universe and they're on the other Enterprise, where like the Enterprise is this part of this evil planet or whatever that it's all the same people, but they're different. And the crew, the part of the crew that ends up on that other ship in that other parallel universe, they're trying to figure out how to get back. And Kirk says to all of them, can you guys hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I got some dumb message on StreamYard here. But he said to his team, he said, all right, we'll go do this, this, and this. And stay in communication. Use your communicators for PMs, he said, or for private messages. He said, use your communicators for private messages. And I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy because now we all have communicators in our pocket that we use for private messages.
Hell, before you got here.
Messages. Yeah.
Yeah. Before you got on the stream, we were actually talking about vegetarianism and how, they're essentially working on replicators for meat of basically 3D printing like proteins to simulate animal flesh. So that is another Star Trek technology that is currently in the works to become reality.
Yeah. Oh, man.
If once it hits the market, it's way cost prohibitive. I mean, even Beyond Burger and what's the other one? Beyond Burger. Oh, Impossible Burgers. They're like twice as expensive as ground beef. So it's killing our budget. But I've been a vegetarian almost 8 years. This 8 years this summer. Yeah. So yeah, it's way. I mean, the cost has to go down. But yeah, I will eat the shit out of some lab grown meat.
Yeah.
And the thing with synthetic meat is that you could do it almost like with hydroponic plants where you can have effectively them stacked so that space would be less of an issue.
Did you guys see what purple rhymes with orange said in the chat? He said, "Gosh, that's really good insight." He said, "Some states, Kirk kissed a green woman. Was it a green woman?
Yeah, I
And
had
no one
that
had a
up there
problem with
too.
it, but then they censored him kissing a black woman.
Right.
That shows you what
Yeah.
the state of affairs we're at.
Wow.
I mean, that was something that they were ahead of their times on, because I've been watching the series over again, and they had a lot of different races. They had, a Russian, they had, black people on there. They had, all kinds of, different ethnicities. And then now you look at the Star Trek iteration that's out there today, that they have all kinds of different gender identities, in the new Star Trek Discovery.
I mean, hell, they're still like the old ones are still, in some respects, as far as I can see, ahead of their time today. Because I have an aunt who, she basically said if her kid ever brought home a person of color, she'd throw him out.
That's sad.
And this guy's currently engaged. This guy's currently engaged to an Asian man. And this woman is also so anti-LGBT plus that when someone suggested that her son might be gay, she broke down crying.
I'm sorry. If my son turns out to be gay, more power to him. It's his fucking life. I'm not gonna love him any differently.
I wait for the day when my Auntie Ree tries to have a conversation with me. I'm a queer, non-binary, polyamorous person.
They're gonna blow an O-ring on that one.
Yeah.
Oil's gonna go everywhere.
Yes.
Now, I'm definitely the black sheep of my family, being a bisexual liberal atheist. So, yeah. I've had family members lose their shit.
I'm waiting for you.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Something I wanted to bring up about Star Trek, if anybody's can remember the episodes or has recently watched it, I noticed like I was saying earlier before we started, the stories hold up, and I think it's really well done for what they had back then. I mean, it was mostly done on a sound stage. They had very limited special effects and all that. But then now that I'm watching it through now, these many years later, it's like you enjoy the show, but then a few times in every episode, there's a lulls moment, because it's so old. And one thing I noticed that happened a lot is they would get trapped on planets because the transporter was down, but then they would never send a shuttlecraft to get them. In these situations where the person on the planet is going to die or something, and for some reason they never sent the shuttlecraft after him.
Well, because John, everybody knows the guy in the red shirt's going to die.
Right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, that, and it would be kind of boring, and it'd be rather anticlimactic if, they're trapped on the planet. How are they going to survive when it's just they just wait 10 minutes for the shuttlecraft to land?
Yeah.
Well, and then the other thing, I was just going to say real quick, the other thing I thought was funny is they get in a lot of fights. And I thought to myself, man, I would never punch anybody if I had something in my pocket that I could just stun them with.
Right. Or more.
Yeah, I mean, a red shirt and a stormtrooper get into a fight. Stormtrooper misses every shot. Red shirt dies anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Captain Kirk's shirt somehow gets torn.
Yes.
And don't forget the Kirk shoulder rolls. The Kirk shoulder rolls.
So true. Yeah, so true. I thought of that too when I was watching. It's they got to find some way to get Kirk's shirt ripped for the ladies.
Wasn't it always Kirk that was in the fist fights though? Nobody else had fist fights but Kirk.
Just Kirk.
Yeah, just Kirk, because he was so badass. He'd just be like, "Yeah, I don't need a phaser. Watch this,"
Well, and the other thing, he's had a reputation his whole career of being an over actor, but now that I'm watching this series again, I think he had he was, had the right technique for the series for that time and everything. I don't think it's overacting.
I
Well,
can't
it
imagine
also-
them casting anybody else's Kirk. Like he
Right.
that was it. He made Kirk what it is, what he was.
Part of it was the acting of the period, because in the silent movie era, everyone had to seriously overact, or you wouldn't understand what they were doing. And people kind of just slowly realized that, hey, we can tone it down, and it gets more realistic. But it took a few decades for them to figure that out. Hey, you
Yeah.
It's true.
Hello.
I'm not sure if
Hello.
Johan can hear us.
No.
Can you hear us,
He
Johan?
said I think he might be on a delay. He did say
Okay.
hello about 10 seconds after you did.
Oh.
So
Can you hear us? He looks like.
So
he can't hear
everybody
us.
here, what's your favorite Star Trek series?
Next Generation.
Next Gen.
Me too.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
And I'll
gonna be
narrow
the
it down to
pedant and-
favorite
Have a favorite.
episode too. The
gonna
Measure
be
of
the-
a Man.
I'm gonna be the pedant and say the original series, even though I've never seen a single episode.
That's just because you're a contrarian.
Just had to be that person, huh?
Every
What
time.
about you, Jim? Do you have a favorite one?
I haven't watched any of the ones after the original really enough to have a favorite really. I mean, there was one motion picture. It was the young Kirk and the young Spock. Gosh, I forget. You guys probably know the name of it. It's like a prequel kind of thing, and that one was pretty good. I watched that.
Yeah. Where Carl Urban played McCoy. I mean, Carl Urban is so great. I love him. Everything from Billy Butcher and the Boys to Judge Dredd to fucking
now I know you're
McCoy.
talking about.
To
Okay.
McCoy. Like he did fucking Boss. Like he's just so fucking good and multi-talented. He's one of my favorite like actors.
Did you ever see The Apartment? Kitty?
I don't believe I have.
Pretty sure I might be thinking of the wrong title, but there was a movie he did in the last 10 years. Like it was not a horror movie, but like some kind of
Like a
mystery
psychological
kind of movie.
thriller.
Yeah, exactly. How did you pull that out of my boomer head?
There was one called, I think it was either called The Apartment or Apartment Number something that came out a few years ago.
Can you hear me?
And I by the way, I agree with Cadence. Trouble with Tribbles. That was also my favorite one growing up. That was my favorite episode growing up.
Well, here's a fun.
Go ahead.
Here's a fun Star Trek trivia tidbit for you. Do you know who convinced Nichelle Nichols not to quit the show?
Nope.
Uhura.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to think who would have convinced. Was it what's her name? Majel?
No, it was Martin Luther King Jr.
Really?
Oh, okay.
Yep. There's a big old speech about it online too.
Oh, cool.
That's pretty interesting, actually.
I didn't know that.
See,
Well, I mean, it was. I was just gonna say. I mean, yeah, she was one of the first, African Americans that was in a, TV series like that as like a main character.
Right.
I think it was like Diane. Somebody had her own show. Was the first time, but
Well, she was also in television's first ever interracial kiss.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
and this is just from having read the lore, but I think some of the stuff they did with the different societies and kind of the different like directions and extremes they took them were actually quite interesting. And also for like a show that's fairly atheistic, there's a lot of non-corporeal beings.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. since the original series, like I've been watching and I have seen so many things that I'm reminded of in the series afterwards. They straight up, did remakes in some of the other series of stories that were done on the original series. They also, sprang off of stories in the original series to make a different story. One thing I noticed that I hadn't noticed is in the new Star Trek Discovery, there was an episode this year. It was a two-parter actually, where they came and they encountered this person that was called like the Guardian of Time or something like that, and that was a character that was in the original series.
Weren't they
and well, I was going to say, as a matter of fact, I can't remember the name of the episode, but it was the episode when they ended up going through the time portal and they went back to the 1930s, and Joan Collins was there, and they had found out that Bones had gone through the time portal and history changed. And then they went through the time portal to try and find him and find out what part of history changed. And it was this character that Joan Collins was playing. They found out that before time got messed with, she had died, and her not dying changed everything that, changed the future. So they had to let her die.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. What wasn't Star Trek one of the first ones of that genre to have a female captain as well?
I believe.
I don't remember anything else having a female captain before that. I could be wrong.
Really wasn't much else though out there.
Yeah, but around the time she came out, there was other stuff coming out. Like I don't know what time Stargate and all those came out, but I think she was the first female in that.
Oh, you're saying in the original series there was like a episode where they had a female captain.
Oh, was there?
No, in the original series.
Asking you. I haven't got all the way through the series yet.
No, from the episode of Menagerie, which was actually the original pilot for the show that they broke up and made into a 2-part episode.
And there was a female captain in that one?
No, Captain Pike was the captain, but his second in command was a woman.
Oh, his number one was Majel Roddenberry.
And the network thought that was too controversial, that they didn't think people would accept a woman in such a high command position, so they made an alien instead.
Yeah,
again, someone from another planet was better than an alien. Was better than a woman.
And then, and the other thing too that I wrote down on my notes too when I was thinking about coming here is the way they still, even as progressive as that show was, they were still quite misogynistic on that show. Yeah. And they had all the female crew members walked around in these micro mini skirts, and like they always made them look sexy and everything, like they were objects. What's that?
Those were the fashion then.
Well, yeah, that's true. But they still were. Maybe it's a little harsh to call it misogynistic, but it was just more like that was back then, which unfortunately
sensationalized,
was
just like
more objectification of women back then.
Yeah, and people have to keep that in mind that any entertainment has to cater for the time it's in. So to try and look at it 50 years later and say that they were, being so bigoted or whatever. A lot of times it's the people in that time couldn't have handled it any other way.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, like a lot of it won't have aged well, but if you look at it in context, it was still exceptionally good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was surprised because Purple mentioned the Menagerie, and I was pleased because when I first went to reboot the series and binge watch it here like a week and a half ago, the first thing I did, because the app that I had the series on, it didn't have The Cage, and so I went looking everywhere trying to find the full episode of The Cage, and I couldn't find it, and I was like, well, whatever, and then so I finally came to it in the Menagerie there in the first season, that 2-parter. But another interesting thing, they didn't use The Cage as the as the pilot episode, and they didn't even use the pilot episode as the pilot episode. The episode that was intended for the pilot actually aired as the third episode. Because I can't remember why they decided that they had made the pilot, and so you notice that when you watch the episodes, they're a little out of sequence, if you're paying attention.
Well, and if you watch the original show in the order they were aired, is not the order they were written in.
Yep.
Which is why at some point they had to come up with this elaborate explanation about space being curved. And that's why the star dates weren't sequential in the episodes.
That's something I've always been stumped on, is how those, and I've read a lot of stuff online about it, is nobody can really pin down how they were keeping track of star dates.
It very much.
Gene Roddenberry had them in the right sequence when he wrote the framework for each episode. They got screwed up in production.
All right, let's move on to another topic. I know we could talk Star Trek all day if we wanted to. We've had a couple of requests for comic books. So let's move on to the topic of comic books. I was never that big into comic books, but what I did read, I read Archie, Richie Rich, let's see, Mad.
Mad Magazine was the best.
Yeah.
Magazine.
Yeah.
I was into the Marvel comics in the 70s and 80s, so a lot of things changed when they put them into the movies.
Yeah, I'm all about the Green Lantern, and my movie sucked.
I mean, but at least you got Ryan Reynolds.
He was a perfect Hal Jordan. The movie sucked.
Yeah.
See, I kind of, as a kid, whenever I saw a comic, I'd pick it up, but I did not often have the opportunity to pick up comics. So I'm kind of, plus being 18, I'm sort of a bit behind here, but I do certainly enjoy them, and I'm aware of kind of stuff around comics.
Have you guys perused the Walking Dead graphic novel and then seen what makes it into the show and what doesn't, and what things change? And then do you ever peek ahead to see how it's going to end?
Yeah, I'm so far behind on The Walking Dead, it's not funny.
I've never
I'm like
seen
3
it.
years behind.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen a single episode of The Walking Dead.
Me
Say
know.
what?
Well, I stopped watching it after when they made it to Terminus and they got their hands zip tied behind their back and they got put over the put over the horse trough and they just started going down the line slitting throats, and that gave me some war flashbacks, and I haven't watched another episode, but I still read the graphic novel.
I watched it like through season 4, and then I kind of gave up on it.
I mean, so is anybody in here? Would anybody in here like define themselves as like a comic book purist?
What do you mean?
I wish Robin was here, because Robin goes nuts every time we go to a Marvel movie and they don't get things the same way as it was in the comic book.
See, what I find really fun is I've got friends who are comic book purists for Civil War, but they hold to different editions of Civil War. And I saw 2 of them get into a massive argument about it at one point as to which Civil War was the correct one.
To be fair, even before they started making the movies, the Marvel comics, about every 2 decades, they kind of, reformatted the heroes. So a lot of things changed with them, even within the comics before the movies started.
The movies
the
did
Avengers
my girl.
from the 60s was not the same as the Avengers from the 80s.
Right.
Sorry, I thought you were done. The films, Hollywood did not do my girl and my favorite story arc justice in either attempt. X-Men and the Dark Phoenix saga is hands down one of my favorite arcs. And they fucked her so hard. And like every time they try, they just fucking ruin it. And it's just like, the fucking animated show did an amazing job. Why can't you just copy what they did, but put real people on the screen instead of cartoon figures?
Yeah.
It's not that hard. It's not that hard.
Yeah. I felt in general that the Marvel animated series have been much better than the live action movies.
So,
One thing that was funny
answer to my question: is there any comic book purists in the room? One check, Kitty.
Yes.
No, I'm not a purist. Like I'm not. It's
No, I'm
one
just
of those
kidding.
things, like it seems like for whatever reason in live action there are some films they can do an amazing job with. I think they did great with like Doctor Strange and Thor, the Hulk, like not the first one, like when they brought him into Avengers, like from Avengers on, like the Hulk was really well done. Like overall, I think the Avengers franchise and the films that preceded it, namely like Iron Man, Captain America, I think they're all really well done. Because really there are different worlds that, different timelines, different planets, different dimensions. So like really there's a lot of give in the story, and I'm fine with that. It's just for whatever reason when it comes to X-Men, they always fail when it comes to Jean Grey and the Phoenix. It's just like when they made the X-Men movies. The first one was amazing. The second one was great. I was so fucking excited at the end of that. When you see the Phoenix under the water in the end credit scene, I was fucking hyped. And then I saw the third movie. I'm like, fucking hell, this is terrible. And I haven't even seen the new one, like that they just did, like Dark Phoenix or whatever. No, it was Dark Phoenix.
Oh no, Dark Phoenix! Has Dark Phoenix come out now? I've lost touch. I've been living under a rock as far as movies.
I think one of the problems with the movie adaptations is that everybody's going to have their favorite character, and they're not going to approve of the movie. Because, like you were saying, you thought Doctor Strange was great. Doctor Strange was my favorite character. I couldn't even watch the movie. Halfway through, I shut it off.
Oh, wow.
I think Doctor Strange was one of them films where Doctor Strange was a good film. It was not a good representation of Doctor Strange.
Did you guys know that somebody had mentioned DC in the live chat there, and so I think it's either sometime this month or next month. Zack Snyder, I believe his name was, the original director of Justice League, and he had to leave the production because of a family tragedy. They brought Bruckheimer in, and he finished the film, and he only used like 30 minutes of the hours and hours that Zack Snyder had already filmed, and just shot all his own stuff. Bruckheimer did. So now this month or next month, Zack Snyder's cut is coming out, and he used all the footage he had originally shot and added some footage to it. And I guess it's like 4.5 hours long. It's going to be on like HBO Max or something like that.
What I've been waiting for since they brought Doctor Strange into the movies was I was hoping that they were going to get around to doing the Defenders.
The Defenders would be cool.
And I'm especially wondering why we haven't seen an appearance by the Submariner anywhere.
What is that, like an Aquaman character?
Yeah, it's like the Marvel Aquaman.
One thing I will
say, like Aquaman was cool.
What were you going to say, Kizzy?
No, I was going to say that when it comes down to it, I think Marvel's live action stuff is really good. Their animated stuff is whereas DC, their live action stuff is but their animated stuff is really good. Like if you go through the DC animated universe, there's some phenomenal fucking material there. Like the Flashpoint Paradox is hands down one of my favorites in the DC animated universe. Like it's dark.
Yeah, I actually have the actual comic series back there.
I'm glad Grayman brought up Black Panther, because that was the one I wanted to talk about. I mentioned that Robin was a bit of a purist, but Black Panther is the one that Robin was absolutely nuts for, because Robin waited 5 years for that movie. Robin was a fan before it was popular, back when Robin was like 12, and trying to get any kind of action figures or anything was really tough because it wasn't that popular. And so when the announcement came that they were going to make the movie, Robin was thrilled. and just kept waiting. And we kept watching the news for year after year. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And then they finally announced the cast and when they were making it. And then they announced it was going to be rated R. And Rob was, oh no, I can't go see it. By the time the movie finally came out, Robin was 17 already.
Now, what did Robin think of it? Like,
Robin loved it. Black Panther. Robin.
Honestly, it is one of the best of the Marvel films.
I was going to say it is excellent. Now, is Deadpool technically now Marvel? I'm trying to think if it is, because I forget which companies have bought which now. But
Deadpool's always been Marvel.
Yeah, he's always been
Marvel. No, I mean
Marvel.
the film, because the films weren't initially Marvel.
Those are Spider-Mans you're thinking about.
Yeah,
it was Fox.
Yeah.
There was some, because there was some shit where Fox had the rights to Deadpool for the movies or something, wasn't there?
No, it was the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans.
Deadpool.
Well, you're right.
He always opens
it wasn't
a closet.
the same company, because that's why the X-Men are different in the Deadpool movies than they are in the other Marvel movies, because they were done by different companies.
Yeah.
Well, no, in Deadpool 2, you actually have the cast from the reboot of the X-Men films in one scene, where, because like it was one of the gags in the first one, but then in the second one you actually see in the room you've got Xavier and
yeah, that was it. It was the X-Men who weren't owned by Deadpool in the first
so you
place,
have all
sorry.
of them in the
My
room.
brain blanked on that one. Yeah,
they just closed the door.
Yeah, I was basically going to say it. Hopefully, we'll be able to actually see the X-Men properly in Deadpool 3. And if they do that well, I think that might be able to rival Black Panther as one of my favorite Marvel movies.
Anything with Deadpool is amazing. Ryan Reynolds is a fucking national treasure of Canada.
So I think the thing is that Ryan Reynolds is the character played by Deadpool.
I mean, fourth wall breaking, yeah, I can totally see that. Deadpool playing Ryan Reynolds playing Deadpool.
How do you follow that?
I mean, considering his fourth wall breaking extends even in the comic books, not just, in the films, like, it absolutely makes sense, that, like, Deadpool, if, he would play a character like Ryan Reynolds, I could totally see Deadpool doing Van Wilder. Let's be real now. Like, Deadpool would play Van Wilder.
Oh my God.
Oh shit, that would be kind of cool.
You're welcome for that.
For those of you that are not huge superhero fans, do you feel like some of the Hollywood dollars, the oxygen's getting sucked out of the room with all these superhero movies? And like, I'm a big Sherlock Holmes fan. I'd love to see another. Well, ideally Benedict Cumberbatch, but I'll settle for Robert Downey Jr. or that tatted up Sherlock that used to be married to Angelina Jolie. I forget his name. But any of the Sherlock Holmes, I would love to see more of that kind of stuff. That's what I dig, and it seems like all the Hollywood dollars are getting pumped into comic book stuff now.
Well, they're going to put that money
because they chase the money, and one thing is that Marvel did so well weaving that universe together for a decade of all the movies linking up together and everything. And you're right. They did kind of dominate, and then when people wanted to see more of that stuff, then the other kind of movies kind of went to the side.
I like Ox's idea. Deadpool becomes a Jedi.
Dude, like, honestly, Deadpool is my spirit animal. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a massive Deadpool fangirl. I will probably get Deadpool tattooed on me at some point. Along with Harley Quinn's little diamonds, because those also, they have other significance as well. But I think that of all of the superhero films, I think Deadpool is hands down one of the best because it doesn't take itself too seriously. It stays true to the source material with the fourth wall breaking, with the fact that it's over the top ridiculous.
The thing is I think that one of the reasons that it is one of the best is that not only does it stay true to the comics, but if you didn't know it stayed true to the comics, it feels like a satire. And it feels like a well-done satire.
Yep.
And I think it's one of the rare cases where the second film was as good as the first.
Although
I still have yet to see the
Deadpool
Christmas.
breaking the fourth wall was not the first Marvel character to do that. In the
But I
comic
think he did
books
it
back in the mid-'80s, She-Hulk did it on several occasions.
I just think that like Deadpool did it best just because of his sass and snark.
Yeah, well, they made it very central to his character.
Ghost Rider, maybe Hellboy. I think a lot of people broke the fourth wall.
Yeah, it's just that for Deadpool, that was his thing.
So here's one we can talk
I
about.
love the Deadpool movies, but I just was saying I love the Deadpool movies, but the tiny hand always freaked me out.
Yeah.
When he's grown his.
So, what did everybody think of Into the Spider-Verse? Because I think it's one of the best Spider-Man films, hands down. Even though
I
it's
like the
not.
animation.
The animation is a little bit. It takes a little getting used to, but the story and I think the way that it was done, like. But I think honestly, it needed to have that different animation style to set itself apart from just like the Amazing Spider-Man cartoon show, you know, like it needed its own unique identity. And I think that it carved it out by doing that animation style.
Yeah, I
mean, come
feel
on.
like
Yeah,
I feel
Latino
like
Spider-Man.
I feel like it did what it did well, though I also felt I felt like the twists were a bit easier to see coming than I would have liked, personally.
Yeah.
But then I've got to acknowledge that I quite often try to see some meta stuff, so that happens a lot. So
Well, plus it was kind of tailored a little bit more for kids. Like, I mean, granted, not like
True.
young kids, but it's like a lot of these are meant for younger audiences, not necessarily like small
Yeah.
kids, but you know.
I mean, in fairness, they're
Preteens,
probably aimed at
teenagers.
people. They're probably aimed at people about my age. I just tend to be very different to everyone else my age, basically.
I would agree
I
with
think
that.
Tobey Maguire did a good job.
Godless Granny just shared a comment. Somebody was saying the best Batman is Kevin Conroe. Like that must be from animated things too, right? I don't remember
To
Kevin
me,
Conroe
Batman is
playing
Adam
Batman.
West.
Yeah, me too. Showing our age.
I can tell
there,
you,
huh?
Mark Hamill is the best Joker.
Yes, he is.
When I had my hair cut short
Oh,
in
as
the
far as in the
90s,
animated,
when I had my hair cut short in the 90s, people said I looked like the Tobey Maguire from the Spider-Man movies.
That's cool. So one thing I'll say, like the animated, like the DC animated, like some of the stuff, I'm actually surprised it got through the censors. Like I remember there was one scene where Harley's in essentially lingerie on the bed, and she's like, "Come on, Puddin', you know, rev up your Harley, like vroom vroom vroom." And it's like, how the fuck did that get past the censors? And then there was another one where they were in like an alternate universe where essentially all the inmates at Arkham Asylum had been lobotomized by Superman's fucking laser beam vision. So they're just like essentially like placid walking, like I don't even know what term to use. They were essentially like zombies. Just, you know, and it was really
sounds
dark
like more like
for a kid's show.
well, I mean, that sounds more like the boys, you know, story
Homelander?
from the boys.
Yeah,
like
I could see
Homelander.
Homelander doing that. Homelander's fucking. Oh, I am so excited for season 3 of The Boys. You have no idea, because I saw who is going to be joining in season 3. In season 3 of The Boys, we will get to see the Captain America analog, Soldier Boy, and he is going to be played by Jensen Ackles, who is Dean Winchester from Supernatural. And I have a huge crush on Jensen and Dean, and I am super excited to get to see a new character for The Boys. And I mean, also Carl Urban's in The Boys. And oh, speaking of, it was called The Loft, the film you were thinking of, with Carl Urban, the thriller with like the dead girl in the apartment or whatever. It's called The Loft.
Yep.
And with that,
So somebody in the chat said that they said that the Lego Batman is the best Batman movie.
I saw that.
The Lego
I was
Batman
laughing.
movie.
Lego Batman has the best personality, though, hands down.
I'm a
He is
minority
pretty
opinion.
awesome.
I'm a minority opinion, but I think Michael Keaton hands down. But he's also a great villain. He was in a Spider-Man as a villain. I forget. Purple probably knows.
Oh
But
yeah,
he can play
He was
both
the one.
sides.
That
Awesome.
was the one that. That's the one that that other the like had the
Like
bubble
Falcon
for the
or
head.
whatever?
The villain that had. No, it was like
Mysterio.
Jake Gyllenhaal was like playing some villain.
Peter
Yeah,
Parker
yeah,
starts
Mysterio.
dating. Peter Parker starts dating. He takes a girl to the prom, and turns out Michael Keaton is her dad, and so he's the one that has to remember. And they recognize each other on the way to the prom.
Yeah, no,
It's
I
Michael
know.
Keaton?
I
Right,
just
right.
can't think of his
Vulture,
name.
isn't it?
Vulture. I knew it was some
Oh
type
yeah,
of
hey,
Vulture,
raptory
yeah.
chat
bird.
confirmed that.
So he can play both. You know, I think he was
But
the best Batman. And
Just
he
to
was a
agree
great
with
villain.
Jim. Yeah, just to agree with Jim. Yeah, as far as the movies go, Michael Keaton. You know, as far as the original Batman, I agree with Granny, Adam West. But when the movie, I remember when I first saw Michael Keaton in the first movie, I was amazed because like when he was all done up in the Batman costume with the cowl on, he actually kind of looked like Adam West, all dressed up in the costume.
It's the
Yeah, he
chin.
was the best Batman in the movie.
I don't think
Something
he was a
about
great Bruce
comedians,
Wayne, though.
They can just lend
Is it? Yeah, they
something
got the same
extra to
chins.
it.
Yeah.
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 That
Okay,
strong
let's-
chin that everybody liked back then.
Let's go ahead and shift to another topic just so we can get to a few more things. I know there are some people that wanted to discuss Dungeons and Dragons. So let's move on to Dungeons and Dragons. That is something
Yeah.
I know very little
If
about.
there's any
Oh,
fourth edition
it's something I know.
purists,
Oh fuck, 4th edition.
ouch.
Yeah, honestly, not a big fan. Like 3.5 for me.
5e, is it 5e? What is that? What's out now?
Yeah, 5e.
We spend, before COVID, and it's a bunch. Mind you, it's a bunch of overthinking atheists at the table. So we don't get through 3 rooms a night. I mean, we crawl through because there's just so many rules and so much stuff to take in. I like it where it's a little dumbed down. I think 4 is.
I think
dumbed
the
down,
thing
but
with
very playable.
4th is that 4th felt more like don't get me wrong, 5e is a bit of a war game, but 4e felt like too much of a war game.
I gave up on Dungeons and Dragons when the rule book started to look like a set of encyclopedias.
Oh, they definitely are.
I play lots of different tabletop role playing games. I primarily play AD&D, but I DM 5e.
Hats off to you.
Well,
I
you
couldn't
answered
DM
my
it.
question right there because I was about to ask: is Dungeons and Dragons a board game or a video game?
It's a tabletop RPG.
Tabletop role playing
It's kind of
game.
neither, unless if you like playing the pewter figures on the tiles. Usually you don't need anything. It's just in your head. You just got your character sheet in front of you. You don't even need hex map or
No,
actual
I mean,
physical maps.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
how I grew up.
Ideally, you should have some dice, but you can always use Google because you can just Google roll 4d6 and it'll roll 4d6 for you.
Yeah,
True.
you don't have that same feel though. That's
Yeah.
No, you don't.
And then you have your lucky dice.
I despise
Yeah.
doing so.
Oh,
I
hell
have
yes.
a bag with 10 sets of dice in right next to me now.
Nice.
Gamer's
Guys,
axiom: he who
I'm gonna
toys
give away
with
my
the most
age.
dice wins.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much purple.
But that's how I grew up. I grew up playing D&D with my my couple of my friends and my older brothers and their friends. And we'd get together on a Saturday morning and we would play the entire weekend and go to church Sunday morning and then go home, pretty much.
Yeah.
But we sometimes we'd go back after church and play. We'd play for 36, 38 hours in a weekend. And it was all just like Jim said, you had a character sheet and dice and you had your dungeon master and that was it.
Yeah,
Our
and
church told us
a
it
lot
was
of
evil.
yeah, I'm basically the same, except a lot of it has to be done through calls now because Rona.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I honestly prefer Pathfinder to Dungeons and Dragons just because, granted, it's very similar, but I've grown really attached to the lore and the deities. Like my deity of choice when playing would be Desna. She's basically the deity of luck and travel. And her symbol's a butterfly. And her cleric's like her weapon is like a star knife. But there was one session where we were playing in a group and I was playing an oracle, which is basically sorcerer meets cleric. So it's a spontaneous caster, but you cast divine spells. And we had a halfling ranger who did the dumb and got dead. So I had the ability to resurrect him, and I did. And then the very next game session, he did the dumb again, trying to solo a chimera, and he died again. And I refused to res him. And like, he got so mad at me. I'm like, dude, I don't care that you follow my god. My god is the god of luck. How unlucky was it for you to fucking face check a chimera right after being resurrected? Luck is not in your favor, dude.
I'm gonna need some translation here.
Okay, so
I didn't know what any of that
what was basically just said is that Kitty was playing a game and a guy did a dumb thing and died, and then her character resurrected him because she's a healer, and then he died again the next session because he was being very unlucky and dumb, and so she refused to heal him.
Yeah, I refused to bring him back from the dead, and he got really mad at me, and I was like, dude, I am literally playing my character right now. Like, it is very unlucky to die. It is, like, insanely unlucky to die twice in a row, like, within a span of a very short period. Like, that is, the gods are telling me you are done.
I don't know if you're at all familiar with Lady Blackbird, but it's like a fairly simple tabletop RPG system, but there's like a campaign built around it with this character called Lady Blackbird with some like pre-made characters and stuff. It's very easy to play, but there's a lot of flexibility with how your characters work. And I'm really fond of my little goblin called Snargle. But one of his abilities is that it's like a dice pool type game. And basically, he can use all of his dice in his dice pool and not actually use any of them up once per session, which is a nuts ability. And because he's a pilot, it's allowed us to... because the setting is basically steampunk Star Wars. It's allowed us to escape the Imperials lots of times. But my all-time favorite character probably has to be my little halfling rogue, who in second edition had 95% in move quietly and 95% in hide. When it was like ×3 damage on backstab, so he was able to pretty much just backstab every turn because we didn't do attack of opportunity.
My partner Michael had a character.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to comment on what Kitty was saying. I find it so interesting that Kitty's an atheist and she's playing a RPG where it's based around deities.
Well, it's honestly like you're stepping outside yourself. It's the escapism. I would never believe in a deity any longer, like in the real world. But but that's the thing. It's like I don't believe in the deity because they don't exist in this world. The deities are real. They actually interact with the people and the world.
I find it really funny that for years, whenever I've played D&D, I've mostly ended up with clerics because my party are always dumb and need healing. And so I always play clerics. But what my party that I primarily play with didn't know was they thought I was Christian playing clerics. I'm pagan. I was playing clerics of gods based off my gods.
Hey, real quick, Rage said in the live chat, this is for Kitty. He says, if you suck at World of Warcraft and continuously hold us back, I won't heal you either. So he's on
I played a healer. I mained healing in World of Warcraft. And if you stood in the fire, if you stood in the shit, you died. I'm not wasting my mana on you.
It's the hardest job. Wow.
I was a hunter. Everybody hated me.
I do have to think that the popularity of Dungeons and Dragons did have something to do with the big rise of paganism in general in the 80s.
Yeah, and also Stranger Things has significantly helped in the last few years.
And there was the whole satanic panic thing that really helped it too.
Yeah, I was about to say the satanic panic. It was the rise of metal music and Dungeons and Dragons, and all this. It culminated,
the goth scene.
Well, the satanic panic was bullshit. But
the punk rock and there was a huge cultural backlash, and that's what caused the satanic panic. And then people were burning their Ozzy Osbourne albums and burning their Dungeons and Dragons modules, and
That's so dumb. Like, you spent your money on that. Why the fuck burn it? Like, that makes no fucking sense.
I acknowledge this is kind of like a pseudo shill, but One Ring 42 is someone who's kind of around in the community, and he does D&D stuff, and I've got a one-shot planned with him, wherein we're going to be basically we'll be tax collectors with characters like sort of based on our online personas, and we'll be and the plan is that we're going to have a one-shot where we raid Kent Hovind's theme park.
Nice.
That sounds fun.
I jump, Sam. I know that One Ring does that. I jump in sometimes to listen to him play for a little bit on the chat, and
so we've got that
some view time.
Oh, so Ring's planning to DM that for us.
Yeah, so I'm the odd man out. I played Magic the Gathering instead of D&D.
I did both. I literally ran Nerd Club where the 3 played things were Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, and D&D.
Cool, I'm a Pokemon professor.
Right here, right now, I actually have my Magic the Gathering Ultra Pro mat as my mouse pad, and it's got Liliana Vess on it. It is literally on my desk right now. Liliana is my favorite planeswalker.
I literally have my Rise folder right here.
Oh, like I literally let's see if I can relocate.
Who's got more Magic the Gathering stuff? Go.
I guarantee you, I have more.
Probably. I've only been collecting the last few years. I have cards older than me.
I guarantee you, I own nothing. Nothing. I have the least.
I have a board game collection.
I am making this outfit one day.
Oh yeah, Liliana Vess's outfits were always on point.
That will be cool. That will be really cool.
I just have to find the boots. There's a dude here. She's sucking his soul out.
I've got a deck of Uno cards. Does that count?
Nice.
All right,
let's
shift to another topic. One other thing that we have to cover, because this is Robin's favorite topic, and that is, and it's you can see it from my background. It's Transformers.
Yeah.
So what do people think of Transformers?
I was a huge Transformers fan from the original series up through Beast Wars.
I used to watch the old cartoon.
Right, yeah.
Me too, Johan.
I've only ever seen the movies and not all of them. I think I saw the first 2.
You're probably
my brother was into them, so I've consequentially seen some Transformers stuff, and it seems fairly cool, but I've never really bothered to get into it.
Yeah, most of the Michael Bay movies should have never been done.
If I do, Cadence, I'll send you pics.
Robin would definitely agree with you there, Purple.
Yeah, I can agree with that, Purple. Like, it's not the only Transformers things I've seen by any stretch. Like, most of it wasn't those, but the movies, when I did try and watch them, it was like, fuck this, I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, Megan Fox was good to look at least. I mean,
they're all special effects and explosion, and what made the original series so good was they actually developed the characters.
But see, Kitty, I don't have that luxury. I can't find celebrities attractive.
Abrams is just a great filmmaker in and of, if nothing else. And, they always pick the most physically attractive human beings for that series, and the spectacular special effects and all the money they dump into it. And it psychologically pulls people in. Even if you don't like it, you're going to catch yourself, if you catch it on TV, you're going to end up watching it. It's sensationalism. And just like us, we're YouTubers. We're not gonna put a title on our video that doesn't try. We try very hard not to be clickbait, but when you guys are titling your videos, you do put something. You kind of walk that sensational line. You want to drive people to your video, right? So you got to, it's a fine line you walk.
I was going to say, you're talking about them Bruckheimer movies. I mean, it's just so insane to me, because I'm 57. I've, seen movies for the last, 40, 50 years or more. And like now movies nowadays, like you'll see a movie that it costs like $300 million to make, so they got to like make $1 billion off of it worldwide to like make a profit or whatever. It's just like crazy.
It's true.
Yeah, I watched all of the Transformers movies, but I couldn't even like sit here and tell you about a scene from any one of them right now. So I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
but.
there was so little about the characters that they all really just blur together.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
didn't
I
like
think
Optimus Prime die in one of them and it was sad, but then he wasn't really dead?
Actually, I keep saying that, Jesus was no big deal. Optimus Prime has come back from the dead like 4 or 5 times.
Right? I mean, look at Dean and
he
Sam
came back from the
Winchester.
dead.
How many times have they come back from the dead? Fucking hell.
What was it after
He
like
came
season
back-
3 of that? It was all heaven or hell. Like it stopped being this show Supernatural, and it was all heaven and hell for like the
Hell,
rest
even
of the series.
Buffy's come back. Fucking Harry Potter and Jesus did it once. Buffy did it a couple of times. Sam and Dean Winchester, though, they're in the double digits for the number of times they've come back.
I mean,
how long did it take for Optimus Prime to come back that several times you were speaking of, Purple?
Well, in the original series, he died twice.
So, like over the last 40 years or so, he's come back several times. Yeah. We're still waiting for Jesus. He's 1900 years later.
My stepdad was a paramedic, and he semi-regularly saw people who he thought were dead just sit up.
Well, Jesus did promise his disciples he'd come back in their lifetime.
Right. 1900 years late.
Yeah, but he didn't mean that lifetime. He meant this other weird math problem lifetime.
He meant before the end of humanity.
He went out for a smoke over 1900 years ago and still not back.
Well, it wasn't a cigarette, John. That's what happened.
There's this wonderful song called What If God Smoked Cannabis? It's a parody to What If God Was One of Us?
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that one. It has to be. It rhymes.
Yeah, that's on my music stick when I drive around in the car.
Excellent.
Oh, I bet you the Christians love that when you ride by and they hear it.
Oh my God, that's such a good idea. I should download it on my phone, and every time I see a group of them getting crazy, just blast it in my truck. Thank you.
It would be perfect. It would be perfect if that song was sung by Gordon Lightfoot.
Well, see, I feel like I need to have that it playing on my headphones when I walk up to a street preacher, and as I take my headphones off, turn the volume right up so they can hear it.
Well, I maintain that God made the platypus at 5 o'clock because, of course, he made weed at 4:20 and was experimenting.
Purple got jokes. Damn. That's good shit.
The platypus.
Yeah, back to the Transformer
kind
thing.
of ties together.
I was saying, back to the Transformer thing. Nothing can beat seeing that first movie for the first time, though. Seeing them that big was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I got to see the original Transformers animated movie in a theater.
I felt that way about Star Wars, Johan. I watched the first Star Wars in a drive-in theater, laying on top of my mom's station wagon, and we were using the luggage rack as a control panel, and we were shooting, me and my two brothers. And oh my God, I'll never forget that, man. We were so close that we were just a couple cars back from the screen, and it was huge. I was five or six.
I gotta tell you, B, when you told that story, and you said you were in a drive-in, and then you started the next sentence with "I was laying on top of." I was not sure where you were going with that.
Oh no! I was 5 or 6. What year did Star Wars come out?
Like
77.
Yeah.
See,
So I was,
thing is
I
that
was 6.
I was born a month before Attack of the Clones released.
Oh, honey, you're a baby. Just shh.
Yeah, I was a teenager
We're not
when
talking
the
about
first
age
Star
with you.
Wars movies came out in theaters before home video even existed.
Going
And
to
that
see
was one of
Star
the things
Wars.
about home video that was like, I thought it was a mistake for them to release it on home video because just without that scale, you weren't going to get it. You know, like
It's
in The
true.
Empire Strikes Back, when the walkers are coming forward and one foot just comes down and covers the entire screen.
Seeing
Yeah, you're not
Star
going to get
Wars
that very
in
well.
the theater
Now,
was
mind
my
you,
first date.
let me say real
That
quick,
was your
Brandy,
first
everybody needs to think when Purple's saying that the common TV was 13 inches, maybe
Yeah.
17 if
Yeah.
you had a big TV.
It was my first
So-
date.
Yeah, so
your first
imagine
date?
looking at it on this
yeah.
big of a screen. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, and that's also the way these special effects have come up. I mean, CGI didn't really exist then. And, you know, so in the 70s, when Star Wars was in the theaters, we didn't realize all of the plot holes and writing errors because we were so wowed by the special effects.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You guys know that movie Ben-Hur?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was born 3 years before Ben-Hur actually lived.
Oh, John.
Oh,
Yeah, I was born the day
Unfortunately,
after
I'm a little
WrestleMania.
bit older than you, John.
yeah, we determined that when I first met you. We were in the stream together, and I kept saying, "I bet you I'm older than you are," and you ended up being older than me. It was. Hey, is there time to bring something else up?
Sure, we got time for one more topic.
So,
Actually, I thought we were going to get into Star Wars here, but go ahead.
oh, if that, yeah, I don't want to derail that if that's what you were going to do.
Star Wars.
Oh,
Well, what I was going to ask you
not
about, I was just going to say, does anybody know any? Because this is a geeky topic to me. Does anybody know anything about transhumanism? The idea of incorporating technology into the human body,
Like cyborg stuff.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's what I mean. You could call it that. I mean, there's this project that's going on. It's called the 2045 project, and you know they're working towards by 2045, you know, being able to download a consciousness.
There was a Black Mirror episode about that.
I mean, given
really
several
ambitious.
presumptions about how consciousness works, obviously, but that's never mind. I'm also a psych nerd, so
The singularity will hit by 2045, and maybe because it learns exponentially, maybe, but short of the singularity hitting, if we did it on our own, we're looking at another 500 years before we can even, because we haven't even come to terms with what consciousness is. I mean, this is memories, personality, emotions, everything that, you know, neural network learning is just in its infancy right now. No, it would take longer than that.
Well, right. I mean, and I think they are counting on the singularity as part of it to get it done that fast.
I mean,
but like they're also saying they're also working towards like physically putting a human brain into an artificial body, and like most everybody in the real world that I come in contact, like people I know where I live and my family members, they all believe in God, and whenever that topic comes up about, you know, the topic of afterlife, you know, comes up, I always say, well, no, I don't believe in the afterlife. I'm just waiting for the robot bodies.
But
Well, I
even
mean,
then,
there
you
was
still have a human brain, and brains age unless you can identify and single out the aging process. That brain's going to die. The ultimate goal of transhumanists is immortality, though.
I was gonna
Right.
I was gonna say, Jim. So, what do you have? Like a 95-year-old man with dementia that's super duper strong and fast?
Yeah, that would be
I was thinking
terrifying.
we're going to have a bunch of robots with demented brains running around.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
I don't think we should do that.
I mean,
It's a bad
I
idea.
honestly,
yeah, you're right. You're
I like
de-aging
the
first.
I like the idea that they touched on in Surrogates, where essentially, you know, you are at home, but you're controlling, you know, via a signal like this robot body, because like my body is broken. It does not work properly. And it would be really nice to jack into a body and be able to go run or, climb a mountain or other things that I just physically cannot do. That would be amazing. Or even an anime, Ghost in the Shell touched on this, where you had partial and full conversion cyborgs. I would do the conversion. I absolutely would, because
I would too.
I do not like living in a body that hurts all the time, and that doesn't work properly. So
See, I mean, I don't have it anywhere near as bad as Kitty, but I'll admit I only recently found out that bodies are not supposed to hurt all the time.
Ideally.
Wow.
Doesn't Jim might know this. Let me ask real quick. Jim, doesn't the Army have a superhuman suit?
Got me, man. The Army gets way more money than the Marine Corps. We get all the hand-me-downs. So we use whatever's left over.
Sorry, I didn't know you were. I'm sorry, I forgot you were Marine, not Army. I apologize.
No,
my husband was Army.
Are you thinking of that? Hey, are you thinking of that Tom Cruise movie? The one where?
No, the Army really does have some kind of exoskeleton suit that they have created.
Oh, really?
They also.
I do remember reading a thing about that.
They also have a armor-proof suit, and you have to be a hell of a strong, big-ass dude to walk in it. They have all kinds of shit they're working on right now. But they're making it a totally bulletproof, grenade-proof, blah, blah, blah suit. Yeah.
Hey, what about what Kitty brought up, that Black Mirror episode where they uploaded people's consciousness to a alternate or not an alternate reality? What do you call that?
VR kind of robot deal.
VR, yeah, virtual reality. They uploaded their consciousness and put them in their younger bodies, and I mean, I would, if they did something like that, I would go for that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's right before they died.
Thank you, Rage. Yeah. I'm really glad I'm not nuts. I thought I heard about that.
Yeah, I read a thing about that as well, B. So that makes three of us who.
Well, the exosuits, they actually have some in Japanese nursing homes, or at least certain prototypes. Last I saw, to help them lift and move patients that might need to be transferred to a different bed, and it's rough for smaller people to lift another person, so they have these exoskeleton type things to allow them to lift the patients gently and with ease and transfer them to beds if need be.
I don't doubt that with their advancement in robotics. I don't doubt that a bit.
One of the applications with transferring a human mind into a computer or such that you don't hear talked about a lot is space travel. It would be a hell of a lot easier to get somebody to Mars if we didn't have to have the life support system to keep their body alive.
Life support, gamma ray radiation, Van Allen belt. We're squishy bags of meat that should not be in space.
And there's just that you're shedding 100 pounds mass that you don't have to launch.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, there's a reason we send rovers currently and not people. If you could make the human body basically a rover, you're all good.
Okay, so how about that? If they could transfer your mind into a robot body, would you go to explore Mars?
Hell yeah.
Yes. But you guys remember the end of AI, artificial intelligence? The little boy, just to catch you up, the little boy crashes that police vehicle in the water, and centuries later, the oceans froze, the sea level's up to the top of the Lady Liberty, right? And so all humans are dead at this point. This is millennia later, and they find him in, and this boy he's artificial intelligence himself, but he's the first conscious AI, robot there was. So he's special. And so everything on Earth, the humans have died out long ago. All it is silicon-based life forms at this point. So I think sometimes we get a sense of grandeur, like humans are something special. We need to be the ones exploring space. And if we could upload our consciousness into something synthetic, that'd be great. But if not, are we that special? If we could give birth to something that was conscious and could survive and colonize the Milky Way, wouldn't that be just as good? does it even matter if we die out or not? I know that's very nihilistic, but you guys know where I'm coming.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I'm not actually nihilistic. I'm absurdistic, but I agree with you there. Though I would also stipulate that if they're going to explore, I would like for them to please share the information they find there. Because why I would want us to explore in the first place is curiosity.
Well, I mean, I have a theory that when humans do colonize Mars, after a while, because we're going to have to send our best and brightest, and they're going to have to work communally in order to survive, they're going to prosper. And eventually, Mars is going to go to war with Earth, or I should say, Earth is going to want the resources and technology developed on Mars, and they're going to be, this is ours, and it's going to be kind of a new revolutionary war kind of thing, where Mars like fights for its independence from the U.S.
I think you got to worry more about
corporations. Mars communists versus Earth.
I think you got to worry more about corporations going there and taking over.
Yeah,
there's no profit though. They wouldn't
war just because the time it takes to fly between planets, you've got too much warning.
So, with what Harmonica Man was just saying in the chat about your uploaded mind into a robot would be torture, that entirely depends on how we set up the robot, because it's entirely possible that we could create effectively a artificial nervous system within a robot.
Yeah. Yeah, by the time they were able to put your consciousness in a robot, the robot would be like a distinction without a difference to a human body. They would figure out how to, like, your nervous system and all the, you'd be able to smell, you'd be able to, all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to have like cybernetic implants to replace any of our senses long before we could get to transferring a brain.
See, I don't even know.
Well, I mean, the other thing is, though, too, is like the way I look at it, and this is kind of simplistic because there's a lot more that goes on with your consciousness than just your brain, but it all happens in your brain. The way I look at what I am right now is I am my brain, and the rest of my body is just a life support system for my brain. So if they could put my mind in some artificial thing, I would even, go in incremental steps. They could just like put my mind in a computer and I'd be cool with that, just so I can go on. And then when they get the really super duper body, just put me in one of those too.
Yeah, but you run into the problem where you actually have emotions and everything literally coming from the gut. You're now taking emotions away from your brain. So is that actually
well right? And my answer to that is, I've said before, is that okay? So up to the point where you were put in an artificial body or uploaded to a computer, you would be who you were up to that point. But then beyond that point, moving forward, you would end up being someone else because of like what you're saying, all the outside things that make up your mind. You would be yourself. But as soon as they transfer you moving forward, you would end up being a different person, kind of.
And the other thing, of course, is that if you could upload your consciousness effectively, there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to then make your consciousness dormant until they did have the capacity to. A bit like, is it cryogenesis? I'm 8 drinks in and we're at 2:20 in the morning. Forgive me if my words are not great.
Yeah, cryogenesis doesn't work. Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, because there's an alternative to that I heard about, because the cryogenics, it's going to damage your tissue so much from the ice crystals and everything. But there's this other thing I heard about where they plasticize your brain, and
really
hoping that in the future they can do something to bring. I don't know. I mean, it's all kind of.
Well, it's also why they're studying some of the extremophiles like tardigrades, because they basically replace their blood with other chemicals that allows them to become almost completely dehydrated or frozen solid and resume their life again as soon as it warms up.
Interesting.
I still want to be a vampire, but I don't think science and technology can give me that.
Kitty.
Now, Caddis had asked in the side chat about
all about this, and everyone in the chat right now is talking about not wanting to live forever. And the Anne Rice novels, you read them, and 90% of these vampires, they make it to about 500, 600 years old, and they jump into a fire. They just don't want to live anymore.
But
Now,
imagine
what
all you
would-
can experience in that 500 or 600 years. Sure, it might not be forever, but the option of forever, like you can still end it whenever you want. You just have all the time that you could want, rather than having that choice taken away from you by your biology.
Yeah, I'd
I
rather
would like
be the
to
doctor.
I'd also like to point out the fact that it is quite possible that there is in fact no way of living forever, because eventually entropy will catch up with us. We can just live for a really fucking long time.
There's Sam with the heat death in the universe.
Unless we
I knew that
can
was gonna
travel
come up.
to unless we can travel to other universes, like through like different
Sure, and
dimensions.
that's why I said because we don't know they necessarily exist. That's why I said we can't guarantee.
Well, hey,
you
do
would
we,
need-
do we even know what? Do we even know that we necessarily exist?
You
There
would
it
not
is.
live
Getting-
500 or
that's
600
getting-
years to go to another universe
I
anyway.
mean, that's getting into philosophy, but I would argue we do actually necessarily know we exist.
We have to assume that.
Yeah.
Well, that's you have to take that axiomatically, but you can't prove it. How do you know we weren't all last Thursdayism? This all came about last Thursday.
Can't
Yeah.
do anything about it.
Honestly,
That's
For-
quite possible, but if it is last Thursdayism, then according to last Thursdayism, we necessarily still exist.
there are times I think I'm a sim. Like I'll get up, go to the kitchen, open the fridge, close the fridge, open the fridge again, close the fridge again. Like
I do that.
What the fuck am I after? Like I came out here for something. What the fuck was
Well,
it?
right. I
swear, if I look up, I'm gonna see a little green diamond above my head sometime.
I'm in my late 50s, and that game is one of my least favorite to play. Why the fuck did I come into this room again?
In World of Warcraft,
And with that-
I was in a 40-man raiding guild. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go, Granny.
Well, I was just going to close this down because we've been going for an hour and 20 minutes. But go ahead and finish your thought, and then we'll start closing up.
I was in a hardcore raiding guild 6 days a week for 4 years. Hardcore addiction. I will never look at World of Warcraft again. It was more than a part-time job. In fact, my real job was the part-time job. And so they would be like, they'd call my name. What's up? And I guess my avatar was just running in place into a mountain because I had fallen asleep on the keyboard. So he was just running into a mountain.
Jim, do you know the Raging Atheist?
Yeah, I've heard of him. Haven't met
Oh,
him.
because he's like a big WoW. He's into the WoW big time, man.
Oh God! If I could talk someone out of even starting that, they have psychologists on staff to make it to where you will not want to leave it.
I just walked away
4
from
years
it.
of my life I'll never get back.
I played for almost 10 years, but then I'm disabled. I was in an abusive relationship, so it was my escape. I used it as an escape, and I never took it too seriously. But I would play 18 hours a day at times, and I was talking with people all over the world. Like, it was a lifeline for me. But then with Miss Pandaria, I had my son. I was playing in Miss. Then when he was born, I just walked away.
That is specifically why I have never gotten into any of the online gaming, because I learned my lesson back with the Commodore 64 that I could get very compulsive about it, and I could waste weeks at a time trying to crack a board.
See, I don't have that problem because luckily for me, I suck at all games. I will lose it. No, really. If you guys ever want to like an ego boost, play a game online with me. You will win. I will lose.
I
just
you up on
always
that
lose, so I
Andy.
refuse to spend money on it.
I'm the
Kitty,
same thing. I'm
Kitty,
still
I
having
like
trouble
that.
with the controls for Among Us.
Hey, Kitty, I like the fact that you didn't take it too seriously, but you played 18 hours a day.
Honestly, most of the time I was just helping out other people, and I was sitting in game doing mindless stuff, but I was talking to people because before Discord, people who played World of Warcraft, they either had TeamSpeak or what I had was Ventrilo. And Ventrilo is basically, if you took just the voice portion of Discord, where you have different like channels where you can go in and speak in voice, we had that, and we would have it set up so that different raiding parties could be in different rooms, or there'd be music rooms where music would just be playing through like a virtual audio cable, or just a Hangout chat room. And I had made friends with other people with disabilities, and it was kind of like therapy in a way, because it wasn't about the game. It was about the community and spending time with people that knew what it was like to be in a broken body.
Kind of like when you go on Discord to do your sewing and talk with people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, and yeah, we've been going for nearly an hour and a half, so I'm going to give everyone an opportunity to shill for anything that they might want to shill for, and then we'll close down. And let's go ahead and start with Yuhan. Yuhan, is there anything like you would like to plug?
We got the bragging rights thing that's kind of on a temporary break, kind of not, because I'm helping out a friend. We'll be back going soon. We'll be having nerd debates, nerd everything. We have trivia coming this Saturday, though, but yeah, that's kind of not that exciting right now.
Okay. Purple, what do you have coming up?
Well, this week I'm likely to randomly appear just about anywhere, but the only thing I'm really definitely planning on is on Friday nights, the shills at 7 o'clock, and then movie night Friday at 10, along with my 2 regular chats on Wednesday afternoon and Thursday.
Okay. John, what have you got?
Well, most days you can find me on Speed of Sound's channel, which is, he just changed the name. It's called Answers in Atheism, all one word. And he goes live every day at 3 p.m. Eastern, or as he says, 2 p.m. Central, the only time zone that exists. They talk a lot of science and, kind of some heavy topics over there on his channel. But the weather report every day, like I said, at 3 o'clock Eastern, is kind of a mixed bag of different topics and fun things, and go over and check him out. And then right now on the Raging Atheist, Rage has been kind of taking a break, and I've been doing 3 shows a week on there, usually earlier in the morning, 10:30 Eastern, 11 Eastern. Not still putting out a video here and there, and he will soon be back full strength again.
Okay, very good. Jim, what have you got going on?
We are halfway through our big project, 666 things your religious leaders never taught you. It's going to be about 80 episodes total. I got 51 of them done, working on 52 right after this ends. I had 2 people just back out, Vagrant Sam and somebody else. So I've got about 20. I get 20. If you go to Atheist Edge on YouTube, look at the playlist. See if it's something you'd like to do. If you want to be a part of this project, it's a collaboration project. It's for anyone, and it's a win-win. Just like Holy Kool-Aid says, a rising tide raises all the boats. So it's a win-win for both of us. If you want to jump in and be a part of this, you can reach me on any platform. I'll get back to you.
Okay, cool. Very good. B, you've got a channel that launched fairly recently, and it's doing quite well. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, thank you. Well, honestly, I just do random stuff. Someone brings up a topic and I say, let's talk about it. And usually it's people who are in the chat or don't have their own channel or don't really want to deal with live streaming. So I do a lot of, I'm going to sit here and shut up and let you have a conversation because they need the platform. So I do a lot of that. Tomorrow I will be doing a Black Lives Matter /equality /systemic racism stream at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then on Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern, I'm doing an open mic kind of deal. Opinions and topics, bring whatever you want. Let me know on Twitter. I'll throw you a link. I can switch people out. There's no such thing as too many people. Not in StreamYards anymore.
Okay. Sam, what do you have going on?
So in theory tomorrow, but we'll see. I'm releasing a video on pronouns. In the next few weeks, I am releasing the first episode of a new podcast I'm doing called Pub Religion, which is going to be with me, Will from over at Godless Sewing, and Maddie from over at Science Side Up. The premise of which is a pagan, a Christian, and an atheist walk into a bar. And then I scream into the void on Twitter.
Okay, very good. Kitty,
Cool.
who would you like to show for?
Ooh, Jen's Little Corner. I happen to show up there quite frequently. I think she's doing her WTF with Godless Sewing on Thursday, but I'm not sure. I might show up for that. I don't know yet. But other than that, I don't really have anything, on the calendar right now. But I might be a surprise guest somewhere if somebody asks me, to show up.
Thursday at 6 p.m. You're going to be on my channel, right?
6 p.m.
There you go.
Eastern.
Now you have something to do.
I will try. Thursdays, like the reason I can do Jen's is because it's at 10 o'clock my time. And my son has therapy that day. So I have an hour and a half drive each way, plus his therapy, plus spending a little time with my parents because his therapy is right near where they live. But if I'm back home in time, I will be there.
Yeah, cool. Let me know.
I definitely will.
Sounds good. Coming up on Thursday at 2 o'clock, I have a special stream. S.J. Thomason is coming on, and we are going to discuss sin and faith. And I've got a list of questions for her. It's kind of going to go over some of the same topics that I did with Steven Tiger, except, of course, from a completely different viewpoint, because obviously S.J. is a theist, and it's not going to be a debate. It's going to be a discussion, but it should be an interesting discussion.
I can't wait for that.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be good.
I think it's gonna be a little bit brutal, to be honest. Like I don't think SJ is gonna know what to do with Gigi.
I don't think so either. I actually moved my stream later just so I could watch her stream because I know it's gonna be good.
SJ is going to have some fun there, I imagine, or rather Gigi will.
Well, I gave SJ a list of the questions that I plan to ask in advance. So SJ, has all opportunity to prepare anything that she wants.
SJ couldn't cope with me on a stream, and I was agreeing with her.
Oh, gosh.
I think that SJ is going to rage quit because you got that, would you like some cookies, kill him with kindness kind of thing. And I don't think she'll know how to deal with that. I honestly think not being met with animosity and vitriol, like the kill him with kindness thing, I think she might rage quit.
Well, we'll just have to see. And then production, as far as produced videos, I'm working on a Why Did God Choose You? It's a reaction video to a Paul Washer video. And I go rather deep into some of Calvinist theology and basically rip it apart. So that's coming up. Then, big thing, March 9th, 1 week from today at my usual time, 7 p.m. Central. Matt Dillahunty will be here, and Katie Montgomery will be here. And I will also have Esther, the African humanist, Brainbug, and scientist Mel for another edition of Why Are We Here? Yes, I know. That is quite a lineup.
Wow. Granny's famous and shit.
Like that's going to be amazing. That is an all-star cast.
I love Esther, and of course Mel's amazing, and Brainbug. That's
going to be
diamond
great. In the rough. She is
that's why I wanted Esther paired with Matt. Yeah.
Who's a hidden gem, Jim?
Oh, Esther. She is awesome.
Oh, yeah. She's amazing. She's great.
Yep.
Yeah, and that is exactly why I wanted to have her on with Matt, because I know that Matt could really help get her launched.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she might be showing up for my BLM stream tomorrow. I'm pretty excited about her. And Mandisa. So with her and Cynthia and all those other people, it's going to be great. So I'm pretty excited.
Mm-hmm. So do not miss next week for the all-star lineup. And with that, Kitty, I'm going to steal your line. Everyone, wear a mask, be kind, live your life. Bye.